Russians are very serious and never smile. They must be really unhappy and have no sense of humor. Smile a lot in the United States. I'm actually going to address this, even though it should have been in the American stereotypes. I'm going to mention it now. We do smile a lot in the United States. In fact, it is encouraged of us. I don't think it's because we want to be fake, but we are taught our whole lives that we should smile at all times. People don't want to see a miserable person. They want to feel welcome and happy. So we smile to make other people feel welcome and happy. And in turn, we hope that smiling will make us happy. It's the polite thing to do. Even if we don't feel like smiling, if we are completely miserable, we are told to smile. In fact, that was probably the one thing I was always told was wrong with me when I was at work. We get evaluated when I worked at one of my other jobs. The evaluation was that I don't smile enough. I don't make people feel welcome enough because I don't smile. I have a very sour expression by default. Mostly because I'm always lost in thought. And I come off looking really mean and apparently aggressive. I've been told that. And unfriendly. And I'm not, it's like I'm friendly and I don't mind people talking to me. I'm just normally lost in thought. But it don't matter. I'm supposed to smile. And even if I'm unhappy with something, I have to smile. That is expected of me socially. Do I do it all the time? No. But I do smile a lot because it's a habit. It's a habit you form. Now, I was not aware that Russians don't smile very much. Like I said, with the stereotypes of the serious people in media, I just figured, okay, well, maybe that's just, because it's a serious situation. This is what the movie calls for. But apparently, yeah, we are told that Russians don't smile. Now we are given that impression that because Russians don't smile a lot, they don't smile as much as us Americans, that you are miserable and unhappy, and you are just so serious and have no sense of humor whatsoever, and that you are basically really, really unhappy, miserable people. I know this isn't true, but that's the impression we get, because that's what we think of people here who don't smile. When people see that I don't smile, by default they think I have no sense of humor, I'm too serious, and I'm miserable. And that's not necessarily true. So I know that can't be true as far as, the way it is in Russia. But I do have to say that if I meet somebody who doesn't smile, I don't feel confident talking to them. So I will say that. So if I met you on the street and you didn't look like you were happy to see me, I probably would not feel welcome coming up to you to say hello. I would think you did not want me to bother you. So I understand why people think that of me. Because if I saw that in other people, I would be way too shy and I would not have the confidence to just go over and talk to you if you looked that way. Even though you probably are very happy, you just, why wear that derpy smile all the time? I don't know. We do it. Don't know why we always do it, but we do it. And that's pretty much our social norm. So yeah, if you want to explain that one to me, feel free to do that. I would kind of like to know what you think about that. Why Russians in general don't smile as often, why you are more serious, what your humor is like. I would actually like to know what your sense of humor is like. From what I gathered, you do have a sense of humor, it's just different from ours. I understand that in the sense that I like to watch a lot of British comedies. And British humor is very different from American humor. It's actually a lot drier. So you have to have a certain type of humor. It's an acquired taste to enjoy British comedy if you're an American. So I get it. So I'm wondering what kind of humor Russians have. Because I'd like to know, what is it that you find funny? What kind of humor is common? How would your humor be judged? I'm probably under the assumption that your humor is probably also dry by American standards, but I don't know. I have not been able to see any Russian comedies, so I don't get to judge. I've not seen Russians be funny outside of being embarrassing. Um, I've not seen TV shows or comedy shows or anything in which I would be able to gauge what Russians find funny. So definitely fill me in on that. Russians are all communist spies. I think this one is more of an older stereotype. I think some people still have it, but this is something that reminds me more of, I see this a lot more in my childhood. I only see it occasionally now, and it's normally really cheesy and cliche. But growing up, when we heard somebody was Russian, we always thought, ooh, they're a communist spy. So yeah, it's an old one. Um, Russians are almost always portrayed as villains in American movies. But you know what? So are Germans. A lot of Germans are portrayed as villains in American movies. Because apparently we just can't get over World War II. So don't feel like it's just you. We do it to Germans too, and for some strange reason, Germans are almost always portrayed as Nazis. But then again, they're almost always World War II pieces or something connected to World War II. So a lot of the communist spy villain things that we have in our media and our movies, a lot of them are older movies, are due to the residual feelings about the Cold War, I guess. I think. I'm guessing. That's the impression I got. That it's because America and Russia had the Cold War thing going, that Americans made Russians into villains in everything we did, and Russians wanted to rule the world and do evil things. And when we got tired of looking at Russians, we went back to Germans, apparently. And every so often we threw Japanese people in there. So So yeah, we do have a lot of stereotypes due to World War One, World War Two, and the Cold War, and the Korean War, and the Vietnam War, and on the bright side, this is not as common anymore. It still happens, but it's not as common because now Americans are too busy worrying about what's happening in the Middle East. So those are our new villains in our movies. But due to political tensions, I would not be surprised to find Russians being villainized again. But yeah, that's just it's media, it's movies, TV shows, and stuff like that. I don't think we take that too seriously. But it does make me curious if we do that here, what you guys do over there. I mean, let's face it, we both have propaganda. Now, I'm not talking about just politics. So this is kind of like getting close to it, but not quite. I know there's propaganda out there. We had it, and that's basically what I'm just talking about. That the propaganda from what we got during the Cold War and World War One, World War Two, and all of our other wars, and what we see in our movies and cartoon shows and TV shows and all that stuff. We have that propaganda about what the other people are doing, who the enemy at the time or the enemy that we had last or whatever is doing. Or, just, patriotic crap. So I'm curious about what propaganda you guys got about us. How are Americans portrayed in Russian movies and Russian TV shows and cartoons? Are we primarily the villain? And how are we portrayed in our villainous roles? I mean, are we at least cool villains? I mean, let's face it. When Russians are villains in our movies, they are awesome. I mean, we love our Russian villains because they are so awesome. And we just think they're completely badass. So, for the most part, yeah, even though that Russians do tend to be villainized in our movies, you guys are awesome villains. We love our villains. So, so how are we portrayed? Like, are we villains? Are we really corny villains? Are we bad villains? Are we awesome villains? Are we villains? I'm curious. So definitely let me know what's up with that. Because that's just amusing, actually.